Do another session here of the shift. It's so great to have you all here with us today. I know Laura's going to get our Instagram folks all ready to go. We're here on Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube. It's so great to, just be over here in the digital community with you. If you're joining us live, feel free to drop into the chat, say hello, let us know where you're joining from. If you're watching the recording, we'd also love to hear from you. So feel free just to drop in the comments. Let us know that you're, tuning in. Yeah, Laura and I are so excited to be here with you today to, just continue this momentum that we've been, really building each week as we talk about this work and, debunk some common myths. That's something that Laura and I are really passionate about, especially as the nervous system space grows. We know that there are a lot more people now that are teaching this work, that are doing this work, that are really hungry for it, which is incredible. And I just love that more people are understanding the importance of the nervous system and the powerful role that it plays, not only in our health and well-being, but just in our broader lives. So whether it's our business, our finances, our relationships, the way we parent, the list goes on and on. Everything starts with the operating system. I just shared something yesterday on Instagram that, this work is really about tuning to the system that makes everything run and work in our lives. And that is our nervous system. It's really our command and control center. So for some of you, you might know this. You're like, yes, I've known this for a while now. For some of you, maybe this is a little bit newer information, but it's really speaking to you. So just feel free to let us know in the chat, maybe how long you've been tapped into this world of the nervous system. Maybe you've dabbled a little bit with some tools. Maybe you're someone that has received some formal training in this work and you're actively leading clients through this work in your own businesses. So just let us know. We'd love to hear kind of where you're joining from in terms of your journey. And today we're going to be diving a little bit deeper. We're going to just take a pause in a few seconds here to, just connect to our own system. So we're going to have the opportunity to do that together. But before we do that, I just want to introduce, a little bit of context for how we're going to spend our time together today and what you can expect to leave with in this conversation. So today we're going to be talking about the kind of nervous system that can truly hold more visibility, more money, and more authority. Like, what does that nervous system actually look, sound, and feel like? What does it actually look like when we're doing this work in the way that Laura and I speak about it and the way that we teach about it with our students inside of our neurosomatics training program? So before we get into our time together today, I'm just gonna invite you just to take 30 seconds here, just to first just notice the position that you're in right now. So maybe you're sitting, maybe you're in your office space, maybe it's a space that's really familiar to you, a space that you come to each day to be really present, to get things done, to focus and create whatever it is that you're creating in this season. Maybe for you, you're catching the recording of this on a walk. Maybe you're outside somewhere. Maybe you're in a coffee shop, maybe somewhere new that you don't often, that you're not at in a regular way. So just noticing where you are and just how your body is positioned right now. So if you're walking, feel free to keep walking. You don't have to stop unless you feel called. And just noticing what parts of your body are touching a surface. So if you're sitting, maybe it's your sits bones in the chair. Maybe it's your feet on the floor if your feet are touching the floor. Or if you are walking or standing, maybe again, just noticing the feeling of your body being supported by the ground beneath you. And if you were to imagine, we're just going to be here for another 30 seconds or so. If you were to imagine that you were sitting or standing, or maybe you're doing this lying down, lying down on an ink pad, like a deep purple blue ink pad. Just noticing what parts of your body would be really rich in that ink, where the ink would be really dark. Maybe it's one side of your body. Like for me right now, I'm noticing like, yeah, I'm feeling more of that with my right side. My right side feels a little heavier, a little more weighted than my left. Maybe it's a particular part of your body. Yeah, so just noticing that. And then taking 10 seconds here just to notice the opposite. Like, where do you notice the ink that feels really light? Or maybe you're not even, there's like no ink at all. Maybe there's no connection here with a surface. Yeah. Yeah. So just notice this might be the first time that you've done something like this. Or maybe, yeah, maybe you're no stranger to a short, brief exercise like this. We're just taking a moment just to notice how we're showing up today without trying to force or change or manipulate anything. Just seeing and creating a little bit more awareness of how our body is just naturally showing up in this space already. Laura, anything you want to name? What was that like for you?
Oh, I love those like little pauses. And just one thing I want to name, and maybe for some of you like listening right now, this might resonate for you as well. Like, yeah, I noticed like there was a part of my body that was like really craving movement, and like there was like this piece around like a little bit of kind of like slight buzziness, like maybe from like excitement and things like that. And so I also just want to name like for those of you that sometimes were leading like these like 30-second like little like somatic awareness tools or like neuro tools, like that it's not always about stillness. Like sometimes there is this like movement part where the body actually wants to like stretch or wants to walk or like swing your arms. And like I was actually even like kind of visualizing my body like swaying a little bit. I felt myself kind of starting to move. And so yeah, that felt really good.
Yeah, thank you for naming that, Laura. That's so important. This work is about noticing and kind of following these natural impulses or urges that our nervous system has, because the thing is our nervous system is the most intelligent technology on the planet. I always say our bodies are so wise, like more than AI, more than any sort of fancy technology that we can create as humans. It's our nervous system that is, I mean, when we think about what it does for us every single second of every single day without us having to tell it to do things like breathe and regulate our heart rate, so many things that it does for us. So much of this work is about just trusting and following where it wants to go, whether
Yeah.
that's movement or stillness, or maybe there's just another urge that's showing up. So yeah, thanks for sharing, Laura, and for naming that. So yeah, we just want to frame the context for today, which is, yeah, just a lot of you are probably hearing the term nervous system regulation right now. Again, I mentioned earlier, maybe some of you are already even doing this work, whether it's for your own personal nervous system, or maybe you're getting trained, or you're collecting some tools that you can use with your own clients to support their nervous systems being more regulated. But what Laura and I often see is that few experts out there are actually explaining what this looks like practically in modern day life, in business, and in leadership. Yeah, so I'll just let that land there for a moment. Like maybe that's resonating with you, maybe your head's nodding. So much of this work has been framed from the perspective of we regulate to calm down. We regulate to get a certain outcome, right? We're seeing a lot more people talking about how if we regulate, then we can be wealthier. And yeah, there is something to be said about working on our nervous systems to help create more safety and having the things that we want. But really what this work is all about, and we've talked about this in prior shift calls, which is being able to create more capacity to hold more of what life has to offer, whether it's, an emotional experience, more wealth, more authority and visibility in your business. It's really about being able to lead without all of the internal noise, leading without the overthinking, leading without the imposter syndrome, without the chronic people pleasing, without the burnout cycle that I know many high achievers find themselves in. Regulation is really about accessing precision under pressure and being able to restore a sense of agency. We talked a lot about sovereignty in our last call, is like feeling like you have agency to really choose. And so ambition here becomes sustainable and profitable. So this isn't necessarily just about slowing down, losing our edge, being like relaxed and calm all the time. It's so that we can make faster decisions, have better access to our intuition, so that we ruminate less. The internal chaos, it just drops. So we can have the same drive, the same vision, the same ambition, but there's less friction. There's less forcing to try to get to where we're wanting to go. Yeah, Laura, what's coming up for you?
Yeah, no, I love all of this, Kate. And yeah, one of the words that's like, again, really being highlighted from in my system right now is this word agency. And I want to just come back to, I know we mentioned this in our last live, but for those of you watching right now, whether it's you're on live or the replay, I want you just to notice what that word agency, or maybe the word choice, right? Like, what does that bring up for you? Maybe there's another word that gets paired with that. Like, oh, there's freedom, empowerment. Maybe there's an image in your mind when you hear that word agency, choice, or even sovereignty. Maybe a certain way your body wants to move. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, even when we're talking about all these things we're going to be diving into a little bit more today in our live, when it comes to, let's say, visibility or money, right, or business opportunities, yes, you desire those things, but what you really value is choice, is to be sovereign, is to have agency, right? And the world has taught us that we get that through, right, opportunities, through more money. And while yes, that is true, like we have more access to finances, right, and wealth, there is more choice, right? We start, more choice starts to open up to us, right? So really, I want you to sit with that. Like, it's not even the money that you're desiring right now. What you're desiring, or what you really value deep down, is that sovereignty, is that ability to decide. And that's what this work is, like Kate was just referencing, is really about, is getting us back to our sovereignty. Because when we have that, like nothing can touch us, basically. Like that cannot be taken away from you. And that's ultimately what, right, our systems have been seeking.
Yeah. Oh, so good, Laura. So good. And I know, you know, for many of the women and men in our community are in the coaching space, are in the human transformation space, are entrepreneurs, are business owners, or people that work in corporate that, just have an entrepreneurial spirit, whether it's from the perspective of, just like wanting to have more opportunity to create wealth for themselves and their family, but also to get to work on things that feel really purposeful and meaningful. Right? Like to solve really meaningful problems and challenges. And so whether you're working with people one-on-one, in group settings, maybe you have an online program or course, or maybe you're really like wanting to bring, or maybe you already are bringing this work into other organizations. So you're working with corporate clients or B2B, whether it's in the tech space or in the banking industry. So wherever you are, we always say this work is industry agnostic, which essentially is just a fancy way to say that everyone needs this work.
Yep.
Every human being needs this work. And so, but if you are coming from the lens of business and leadership and you are an entrepreneur, right? Oftentimes we hear like, the two biggest hangups or the two biggest roadblocks that clients have when they're saying yes to a program, or when they're making a purchasing decision, they're making a buying decision, are time and money.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we know that that's not the full story. We know that there's, from a nervous system perspective, there's layers underneath of that. But let's just look at it from kind of that simple perspective of time and money. And so when we are moving from or operating from survival, or maybe you don't even resonate with this personally, but you see a lot of your clients operating in this way, where you feel like, or you observe this in your clients, where there just like doesn't seem to be enough time. There doesn't seem to be, like enough money or enough resources. Decisions you feel like are made from that place of scarcity, or like, well, what if this happens? So I have to do this now because I'm afraid that this is going to happen or not happen as a result. And so when we start to shift into living, working, and leading from a regulated place, we're no longer being chased by money or time. Our decisions are made from a place of, deep clarity and trust and stewardship, not scarcity. You stop buying or purchasing or investing to find relief, but instead you're buying from, pure alignment and trust. And you're doing so, just with a completely different feeling. And so financial choices start to become more strategic and long-term and less emotional, right? There's not that that buzziness or that anxiety or that sometimes that contraction, like there's the avoidance, like maybe it's like, oh, I just made that investment and now I don't even want to like look at the bank account now. And so you avoid the bank account. So for you, maybe it's less of that, what feels like anxiety, but it feels more like avoidance. So we just wanted to start to name like what actually tangibly, practically starts to shift when we do this work, and also when we become equipped to help our clients do this work.
So good, Kate. Yeah, I feel like the time and money one is it's a big theme, right? It's a resource, like we always talk about too, right? Like time ultimately is like our largest resource in a way, right? But those are the two things that really concern people most of the day. It's either time or it's money, right? And what I love what you're just naming here now that I want to just double click on too, that might be helpful for those of you that are watching, again, like whether this is something personally you're experiencing right now, or maybe you're seeing this with your clients or your team or your coworkers, maybe your partner or your spouse, right? Is that when we're continually in this, if our nervous system is always worried that we're losing time or money, like we're always feeling behind in some way, right? Or that it's running out, that's a sign that your system is in a survival state. It is in a fight or flight response. And that's not wrong or bad. We were designed to go into some fight or flight. We talk about this in our program. But to be chronically living there. And I want you to even just think about for a moment, if you were to give a percentage to like your day, or just like the amount of energy that you're spending thinking about money and like how you're running out of money, or there's not enough money, or I'm running out of time. What would that number be roughly? 50%, 60%? Maybe higher, maybe 80%. Like you wake up, the moment you wake up, it's like, I'm already behind. Because you're already thinking about all the things you have to do today, right? Or your clients are sharing that with you. Like I wake up and I'm immediately like feeling like I'm behind. Yeah. So that's a nervous system state. Yeah. And this is where like, then it's really, it's so impactful, right? When you actually have the tools and the framework to be able to help somebody move out of that chronic state. of survival and fight or flight, because it's actually just taking a lot of their energy. It's taking a lot of your energy that you could be using on other things, like Kate was just sharing, right? The purpose and impact you want to have, instead of using up all this resource and energy around like being in scarcity, in urgency.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I was just thinking about that word relief.
Yeah.
Like I used to invest really big in my business. And it's not that I don't anymore, but there was a season where it was like large investment after large investment. And it's like once I finished one program, I was like already ready to invest in the next one. And okay, how can I, and so, and truthfully, I can look back and say everything I've ever invested in, I have gotten something from that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was definitely a time where the pattern was I was investing because I thought like this next one is going to be the end all be all.
Yeah.
This next investment is going to be the thing that just completely,
Mm-hmm.
offers breakthrough for me in my business. And I finally feel free and I finally feel settled. And I finally feel like, okay, that was that was the thing that did it. And like, now I'm at that level, but then the level kept changing, right?
Exactly.
So I would get there, but then that wasn't enough. And that didn't feel, I didn't feel settled there. So I had to keep, And so it was just like this constant like chase, and it was exhausting.
Yeah, I want to just pause there, Kate, because you're naming something I think really real. And I'd love to like just even ask those of you that are watching right now to maybe even drop a 1 in the chat if this is something you're resonating with right now. So maybe it's, just pausing and just even noticing what's showing up here. Like maybe you notice yourself like leaning forward as Kate was naming that. Maybe there's like a slight bracing. Maybe your breath changed a little bit. Or maybe you're not sure what it is. Like it's just, you're not, there's no sensation here at this moment. And that's okay too. Or maybe we're just like, again, like it's more in your thoughts. Like, yes, like I know that feeling so well. It's really, there's something about this is really resonating. Yeah, I love that you named this, Kate, because it's another practical element of this work, right? Like when we regulate our systems, we can become more discerning, right? We can actually really look at a program and really discern, like, is this the program for me right now in this season for the growth that I want to, move into in this part of my life or my business, right? And not from this place, because when we're dysregulated, we start investing, like you were just sharing, Kate, from this place of trying to soothe this underlying anxiety. Like I gotta get there, and I gotta get there fast, or maybe even investing in a way. I know for me personally, because I also relate to what you're sharing. There was a time where I was putting certain leaders, right, certain experts, sort of on this like pedestal, where I thought, which they were knowledgeable individuals and they had a lot to offer. And at the same time, when I really when I was doing my own work on my system, I was realizing that I kept thinking like, well, this opportunity or this coach is going to be the thing, like you said, to like rescue me. Like I didn't think that cognitively, but I was thinking like, this is going to be the thing finally that's going to offer the relief. Right. Yeah. And it's going to soothe all that uncertainty that I feel.
Yeah.
And it's all going to be solved and wrapped in a nice little package with a bow on top. And and every time, like you said, I would end the thing and it was like, then it was already like the next one. And so it was never really stabilized, right? Versus investing from this place of, again, sovereignty and not giving my power away to another person or course to like do that for me.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And investing from that place of sovereignty and regulation, it was like, receiving what I needed to receive from that individual, but like, again, not looking for the rescue anymore, for the relief from this, I call it anxiety, but it could also be another word that's resonating, with here in the audience for you. Like if there's another word you would use for it, but like, uncertainty or just this like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think too, then it changes your experience when you're in a program that you've invested in. Like if you've invested, we talk a lot about this, Laura, you and I offline, like the state that you come from when you invest in a program sort of sets the stage for the state that you're then in when you go through the experience.
Yep.
Right. So if you're investing from that place and then you get into the program and it's maybe not how it was positioned, or it's not kind of turning in to be what it was chalked up to be. And then that might even, potentially you might have had an experience like this where maybe there's a lot of guilt now or a lot of shame. Like, why did I do this? It's like, this clearly was not maybe the best investment. So then that kicks in, or maybe there's more anxiety because you're like, oh, well, I said yes to this, so now I got to finish it, even though it's not really maybe worth my time, or it's not really providing me a lot of value. And again, none of this is wrong or bad. Like we've all been here, but it does, when we can come and invest from a regulated place, it completely sets us up in this beautiful way to really make the most of the experience that we're having. So from an ROI perspective, like if you're a data person and you're crunching the numbers, the ROI on that experience and that investment and that decision is so much higher when you've invested from a regulated place.
Oh, 1,000%, Kate. And we've seen this time and time again with our students, right, in neurosomatics. Like some of them might have even come into the program with some of this energy that we're just actually speaking about, right? Like we don't expect everyone to enroll regulated. That's part of the reason why they're investing in our program.
Exactly.
Because they're recognizing, hey, there's something here. I've invested thousands in the past and other coaches and mentors that, again, I don't regret necessarily, but just I do want to kind of get to the root of like what it is that I'm actually seeking here, right? And being able to really stabilize that. So the next time I go to invest in something that is high ticket, like again, like coming from that regulated place, like that's going to save you a lot in the long term, right? Like so much. And also just one other thing I want to say here too, Kate, is like, when we are also dysregulated, we're living in survival. It's also really hard for us to learn new things. Like, so even if like you're going into a program, like to learn this amazing strategy that this person has put together, a framework, or even like wanting to take a course on like neuroscience, like you're going in like, okay, I'm going to go deep on the nervous system. I'm going to learn exactly how it works from a physiological and biological perspective. I won't even an expert in this. But your nervous system is dysregulated. You're like parts of your brain aren't even like fully online to really even be able to absorb and retain the information.
Right.
So they're like there again.
Science 101, right? Like that's, we know that when we're coming from a survival place, we're in survival, right? So our body is so intelligent, it's shutting down everything that's not necessary for survival. So you learning this cool new marketing strategy, your body's like, that is not necessary to keep me alive and safe. So we're going to shut that part of that we call it the CEO of our brain, that prefrontal cortex, where we do all of our higher brain thinking. That part is not fully accessible. So yeah, it's like, why, I mean, to me, it's like the one of the coolest things about this work is that we're just really setting ourselves up to make the most of the spaces and places that we're choosing to be in.
Exactly. Making the most of it 100%. And we've had students reflect this, like I was mentioning, right? They may initially invested because they thought, okay, this is the next thing I need, right? This is certification in the nervous system. But like once they got into the program and really started to feel their own system rewiring and actually unlearning some things, that's another part of our program. It's not just about the learning, it's also the unlearning process that happens. Like they really start to see the world and themselves in a whole nother way, like how they're investing, like their relationships, like even the material itself, like the way in which we put this material together, which I'm so glad we were so intentional about this, Kate, like in regards to like considering the nervous system so that people could actually retain the information. And they were actually like, our students reflect all the time, like, I remember like the modules, like I remember like our calls, and like it's still with me throughout the day, and it's things that I'm implementing. So again, it's not just something I invested in, like, okay, now it goes into a folder and I never see it again. Like I'm continually coming back to it. And it's like having an impact on my business, on my personal relationships, right? Like it's incredible.
Yeah, there was a McKinsey & Company study done. For those of you not familiar with McKinsey, they're just a really large consulting company. They have lots of different divisions, huge company. And they did a study around learning and development and learning retention. And there's this thing called the learning curve. And it shows that, traditional learning, when done without the nervous system, and they didn't really necessarily talk about the nervous system in the way that Laura and I do, but basically that only like 10 to 12% of information is retained when you're doing it in kind of this more traditional sense, because you're not factoring in the nervous system. So again, like when I think about time, money, ROI, it's like all of that increases when we allow the nervous system to be the foundation of those decisions. I know we're getting close to time, Laura, and I know we've talked a lot about time and money, but you and I know that the list goes on and on in terms of what starts to shift and change in a really positive, needle moving way, life-changing way. We've had our neurosomatic students literally tell us, like, this work has completely changed my life. So I just want to offer, just a little bit of time and space here, and we won't double click into all of these, and we can save this for a part 2. But I just wanted to like pose the question and have you kind of walk us through, like, what are some of the other areas that start to shift and change in meaningful ways when we commit to doing this work?
Yeah, absolutely, Kate. So another big one is client conflict and audience pushback. So let's say you are an entrepreneur, you are someone who owns a business, or let's say even if you are working right now within a company, you have a team, right? And you're communicating back and forth through a Slack channel or whatever your workspace that your company uses. And so one of the things this work does is that when someone is upset, so whether that's a colleague or again a client or maybe again a personal relationship in your life that's meaningful, when you do this work, your body, your nervous system no longer interprets every conflict as danger. So you can just think about that for a moment, right? And how much time and energy we spend sometimes just in that constant like threat response of like someone is upset, right? You can hold a boundary without rehearsing it for hours or feeling a guilt hangover after setting a boundary. You can receive criticism without collapsing or appeasing, right? And so, or even like, let's say you're posting something online, like you really want to share something that's really deep and meaningful to you and what you value. And maybe you get some pushback, like maybe some people don't like what you have to say and they start like commenting or whatever. Like your nervous system is, you're able to hold that. You're not reacting from this place of like survival, right? And like conflict. You are actually like really just like in your sovereignty. Maybe you respond, but from this place, again, responding, not reacting, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking. I was going to say, Laura, if you don't mind me I just want to share, I'm thinking about one of our students, and you probably know who I'm talking about, in our neurosomatics program, who at the beginning of the program, she like didn't even have an Instagram. She had a personal account that was private. Like she was like, I don't really want to do this yet. I'm just going to keep it kind of word of mouth. I just don't feel like it was just not something that was accessible to her in the moment when she was starting the program. And then by the end of the program, 90 days later, she had like made her profile public. She completely, and it was not from this place of force or pressure or like, I have to catch up. It was totally authentic. She wasn't rushing about it, but she ended up completely, and then she was like creating these reels and these videos like as if she had been doing this for years, and we were like, oh my gosh, like this literally looks like you've been doing this forever. So she went from freeze mode with posting content and sharing her voice to now literally regularly speaking on Instagram, on LinkedIn, in front of the camera, and she has just total confidence. So I just wanted to share that little kind of client student success case story here, or case study here, this happens often when students commit to doing this work.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought her up, Kate. Yeah. And I'm still amazed actually, when I see her content come up, because there's such a confidence, like you said. She's got a microphone now. She's like not afraid at all to like speak on camera. And
I think we lost Laura for a second. If you guys are joining, you're back, Laura.
We're back. We lost connection for a second, but yeah, it's really incredible. We watched this student of ours just totally transform in regards to like her nervous system feeling safe to do lives and to speak in front of the camera. And I kind of, this last piece I'll add to that as well, because I see there's actually quite a bit of programs out there, high level investment programs that are like teaching you how to speak, right? How to speak on stage, how to become more visible, right? Which is amazing. Like, again, there's probably a lot of value in some of those programs. And I've also observed through talking to certain people that have been through those programs and or just like looking at the curriculum, a lot of times they're not taking the nervous system into account. So again, it's still kind of coming from this place of like motivation and like mindset, or even like maybe a spiritual aspect too, which again is not like wrong or bad, but we need to take the nervous system into account when we're talking about like wanting speaking opportunities, or like, you know, getting in front of the camera and making yourself visible. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last two that I'll just reference here, because I know this comes up for a lot of people. And again, we're not going to go super deep into these, but I want to name them here in this space. And then we'll start to wrap up and we'll share a little bit more for those of you that are tuning in or are getting curious about neurosomatics. We have a cohort that's coming up soon here in the spring. So we'll share more details and a link for you to learn more about that. But the last two that come to mind are premium client attraction. So attracting clients, whether it's like one-on-one clients, if you're working with people privately, that you're like, oh my gosh, if I could just replicate this client again and again, you know, and have like 10 of these or 12 of these, I would be over the moon, because it's someone who's just ready. They're like that perfect balance between they're committed, they're in it, but they're not sucking every ounce of your time, maybe in between calls. Like if you're a coach and you use Voxer or WhatsApp or some sort of in between, they're not the client that uses like, you know, every single day they're like messaging you again and again, and they just constantly need support. And you feel like your time now is just going to this one client. They're in the work. Yeah. And so being able to attract those clients, or maybe for you, it's like, oh, I've done the one-on-one work for a long time now, and I'm ready to speak on stages. We have one neurosomatic student, Jen, who has just been landing stage after stage over the last year and a half since she was in neurosomatics. Or for you, maybe it's like, I want to work with teams more. I want to do some consulting work and get paid higher, you know, charge more for those more premium packages, or that premium experience that I can offer. Maybe it's an organization or a group. So being able to really have those types of clients that not only that you're attracting, but then once they say yes, that you really feel confident in being able to serve those types of clients. Like all of that starts with their nervous system. So there's that. And then the second one that comes to mind is just charging more, or charging what you feel like your time and the value that you're bringing is really worth, and doing it without hesitation or apology. Because we know that pricing is really a reflection of our capacity, not validation. And so being able to say the pricing without feeling really anxious, or, you know, we've talked about this in the past, like maybe you know your pricing, but then when you go to speak it, you say a different number, you say a lower number, and you're like, oh, I just spent all this time like getting clear on my pricing, and now here I am not even quoting that pricing. So like really being able to be really confident in that.
Yeah, I love all those, Kate. And like the last thing I'll just share too is like when it comes to the client piece of things is retention. So whether you're a new coach or someone that's maybe been a coach for a long time, again, or maybe, you know, again, maybe you're maybe not a coach, but you're someone who owns their own business, right? Your retention levels, like, and I've seen this over and over again, that when first of all, when your nervous system is more regulated, and then on top of that, even if you're bringing in just even a little bit of this work into what you're doing with your clients, your retention levels more than double. So also just from like a business perspective, again, an ROI, like to have like clients that are like signing with you again and again, is correlated to your nervous system. So Kate has seen this with companies rehiring over and over, right, for experiences, and then also, you know, maybe one-to-one, or even like people reinvesting in group offerings that you have as well. So yeah.
So, I mean, everything we're talking about today is the exact transformation that we see happen again and again and again inside of neurosomatics. And yeah, we're just, Laura and I are really proud of the container that we've built, the way that we've designed the curriculum, and the experience inside the program is really high touch. It's just something that Laura and I are both so proud of. And so whether it's breakthroughs in leadership, in business opportunities, having more confidence in leading your own clients, whether that is in intimate private sessions or in those larger groups and teams or speaking on stages. We even have, students that will tell us like, I didn't come into the program for this reason, but like my marriage is like way more harmonious. I'm way more patient with my kids. This team member that I used to just like have a lot of conflict with, like I'm not feeling triggered by that person anymore. We see and hear that happen time and time again. And then of course in our well-being, right? We have a lot of students that report less anxiety, less urgency, less tension. We had one student in our last cohort who had 20 years that she was on a journey of chronic pain. And while she was in the program, she had the biggest just breakthrough in feeling so much less of that on a regular basis than she ever had in her whole life. So yeah, we are actively enrolling. Our next cohort will start on April 7th, and it's going to be the only cohort for this calendar year. So if this has been on your heart, if you're feeling just any sort of bit of curiosity, yeah, we just really invite you to trust that. It's a 90-day experience filled with live trainings, pre-recorded videos, audio exercises, handouts, and like resources that you can actually use. And we have students that regularly tell us like, I pull these resources again and again, just like as a refresher when I'm going into a client session. So they're, really intentional resources. We have bonus strategy lab sessions that we include throughout the 90 days for you to get real-time business strategy support. And we also have a high-touch Slack community where you can get questions answered, celebrate with your fellow cohort members, and just get a lot of high-touch ongoing support from both Laura and I throughout the program. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat now if you are interested and you want to book an enrollment call with one of our team members. Laura, I think the link is going to go just to YouTube and our LinkedIn folks.
Okay.
So you're able to just make sure our Instagram folks get that. You can also find it in Laura and I's bios, or just send us a message. If you're having any issues like finding the link, just send us a message and we'll make sure that you get that.
Yeah, amazing. And then for those of you too who are maybe ICF accredited, maybe watching, you're a coach or even a therapist too. We've had a few, or actually our last round, we had a therapist come through our program, and one of the reasons she took it because she needs to renew her license. So if you're also a licensed therapist right now looking for a program that has 20 CCEs, Neurosomatics is accredited for that. So just reach out if you have questions about that piece of things, and we would love to chat with you.
Yeah, amazing. Well, yes, if there's anything that you want to share today that came up for you and you'd rather do it privately, like I said, feel free just to message Laura and I. We would love to hear from you. We're super accessible. Whether it's on LinkedIn or Instagram, and of course we're on YouTube as well. So yeah, please reach out. We look forward to seeing you again next week. And if there's anything that really hit home for you today and you're like, oh, I would love to learn more about this, we're always open to feedback. So if there's a specific topic or again, just something that we shared that landed and you really want us to go deeper on that, please let us know and we'll make sure that we really factor that in when we're planning for these conversations, because we want to be sharing the things that are feeling really alive for you and really relevant. So yeah, feel free to do that. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you back here, same time, same place next week.
Bye everyone. See you next week.